Hey Boba Gang, how y'all doing? Is your mama good? Good, glad to hear. So today we're going to do a product review. We are going to be looking at a boba making kit. So this one's from a brand called Flavor Prevor. But recently, I think for the past, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years since this was released, they actually changed the name to Thereabouts. Just know that if I call it Thereabouts or I call it Flavor Prevor, it's still going to be the same company. For this one, what they have is the bubble milk tea kit that they've been pretty popular about. So you'll find it at several shops like Home Goods, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and you'll be able to pick up a kit like this. So with this one, the flavor that they have for here is going to be the royal milk tea. And below it says the classic bubble tea base, which isn't incorrect per se, but it's not exactly completely accurate. But we'll get on that one in a moment. Let's go ahead and check out the box and everything that comes into it. So it's a pretty standard, like, you know, flat icon style that you typically see in most packages. So it's just covered with OT throughout the entire thing. And this one supposedly makes 8 cups or more. I'm assuming they mean boba, 8 cups or more, and not the tea leaves, but we'll find out in a few. And as you can see, it's pretty consistent throughout. We'll just see boba icons, maybe lid, no lids and all. And then on the back, it tells you everything that comes in. All right, let's go and crack this open. It said, let's get this party started. I feel like this box is probably made for me or someone like me. So in each box, what you'll get is an instruction card, the tapioca pearls, your loose leaf tea base, and you'll get 2 straws and a cleaner. And of course, all the little sheets of paper that these typically come with. So here's a pack of boba. So these are the boba that you typically see when it comes to a lot of these DIY kits. So they tend to be on the smaller side. I think it's a 2.0 millimeter. And these are typically the color that you'll see them. It's made from like a kind of like starch with a lot of preservatives. And with this, it looks much different than what you'll see tapioca pearls from actual bubble tea shop. So as you can see, when you compare this one to how we typically have the boba at the store, the size is different and so is the color. The color is honestly the biggest one because you could get different size boba. You get really fat ones, you get the medium ones that we typically use, or you get even smaller ones that come out to be about this size. So with tapioca pearls, once you start cooking them, they come in different sizes. And with this one, I believe with this one, it probably will stay somewhere around this size from what I've seen from other product reviews and Instagram videos. And here's the packet for the loose leaf tea. It's a mixture of Assam and Darjeeling tea. Both of them are still part of the black tea family, and they both get processed pretty similarly, but it's just a mixture of the two. And of course, the instructions. So I kind of opened this one up earlier just to look at the instructions since it's supposed to be easy to follow. It is easy to follow. However, there is one thing I kind of agree with, and I just had to clear out for y'all. So with Thereabouts, they market it as a royal milk tea. However, when you look at the instructions on both the packets and the instruction cards, it actually gives a more of a regular milk tea instructions than the royal milk. To go over a quick history lessons, a regular milk tea and a royal milk tea are 2 different types of drinks. Yes, they both contain some form of black tea and milk, but there are a few different nuances that makes them basically completely different drinks. They're both delicious, they both taste good. It's just, they're still different types of drinks. You talk about a cappuccino versus a latte. Yes, they both have coffee, yes, they have milk, but the methods and what they do to it, or the quantities and the ratios and proportions are different. So I'm gonna just cover I'm gonna cover 4 points that kind of encapsulates what makes them different from each other. And to keep it simple, when I talk about milk tea, yes, there's a lot of different types of milk teas, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna talk about a simple, regular milk tea that you get from, any bubble shop. Not the oolong one or the green tea, just a simple, plain black tea. Right. So 1, it's the type of tea leaves that you typically find in a regular milk tea. For the most part, it's just used with Assam black tea, whereas with the royal milk tea, you could have Darjeeling or Assam as a tea leaf of choice. And of course, there's mixtures like how this one came with. For a regular milk tea, for the milk of choice, you could do any type of milks. You could do almond milk, oat milk, or you could do non-dairy creamer. Whereas a royal milk tea, typically that's going to be done with whole milk. And of course, it's the type of milk that they use that differentiates between the two. The other one that also makes a difference is the proportions of it. So a regular milk tea would either be like more or less half and half or more tea to the milk. And a royal milk tea is more milk to the tea. So those three makes up a good chunk of what makes it different. All right, and the final point that I think makes a regular milk tea different than the royal milk tea is the brewing method. So with the regular milk tea, what you'll typically find with that one is the black tea being steeped in water and then strained and then combined with the milk. Whereas a royal milk tea is made more similar to how chai is. And I'm talking about authentic chai, ones from Nepal, India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. Those chai, not that crappy, watered down garbage that you get at Starbucks. I'm sorry if y'all like that chai latte, but ask any real person that loves chai, they're gonna let you know about it. With the royal milk tea, you're basically combining the black tea and the milk, and of course, sweetener if you want to, together. Just like how you do it with a chai, you combine all the ingredients into one drink, into the pot, and that's basically it. Both of them have, their own different flavors, and one's not better than the other. It's just what flavor you want for them. One thing I do want to point out, and I just gotta give credit where credit's due with Thereabouts, even though the instructions here are for regular milk tea, they do have a YouTube channel that actually shows how to make a actual royal milk tea, and that one's actually closer to what it's supposed to be than what they had given here. This packaging is kind of old, and I know they had like a new one out, like since this one been released. So I'm not sure if they update the instructions on there or if they have like a QR code inside, but for the most part, this box, this version of it is what you'll typically find at a lot of the department stores at the moment. I'm sure there's probably Thereabouts out there right now filling the shelves, but if you were to pick up this one, these are the instructions you're gonna get, and you're gonna get regular milk tea rather than royal milk tea. All right, let's go and make some boba. So right now, this is the only pot I have, so I'm gonna be using this to boil the boba. So one quick tip is that if you have a kettle, I would definitely recommend boiling it, so that way this one goes a little bit quicker. To basically make boba, they say for one serving is to bring 2 cups of water to a boil and then slowly drop 1/4 cup of boba in there. I'm not gonna do that. This pot's too big. I'm gonna make a lot of boba. So we're gonna have a sugar overload. Drip it there. All right, so I poured about half of it in there. All right, I'm gonna keep stirring this, make sure it all floats up. And then I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes because I prefer a soft, chewy texture. While the boba is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and start seeping the tea base into our pitcher right here. So it'll be a temperature at 205 Fahrenheit. And for my folks out there that does Celsius, I don't know, Google it. I'm sure it's something like 30 something maybe. So I'm gonna go ahead and seep it here, and it should be seeped in there for 3 minutes according to the instructions. All right, we're gonna go ahead and throw in a nice big old tablespoon, a nice hefty tablespoon. And then we are gonna pour 1 cup of hot water. I'm gonna let this seep for 3 minutes. I'm gonna give this a quick stir. Ignore the fact that I have used a handle in there. So while the tea is seeping here, I'm gonna make sure I stir the boba occasionally just to make sure it doesn't fall to the bottom of the pot. So now both the black tea and the boba are done cooking and brewing in the appropriate amount of time. So I'm gonna go ahead and strain the black tea, and I'm gonna go ahead and strain out the boba and then make sure I cool it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and strain the black tea. So quick tip, if you're a coffee drinker, chances are you might have a pour over system. So for me, luckily I have a strainer for the coffee, so this will work just fine. And I'm going to strain into this little wine glass. All right, perfect. All right, go and strain it in. Now go ahead and show the tapioca pearls. So as you can see, this is what the tapioca looks like after you cook it. So as you can see, there is a slight size change between uncooked boba and the cooked one. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and transfer all the tapioca pearls into this cup for the time being. And for my sweetener today, I'm just gonna go ahead and just use the rest of this honey. Make sure I put just enough honey to really cover and coat some of the tapioca pearls. So it's time to assemble the drink. To assemble it, I realized that none of my glassware is short enough and clear for me to use this straw. The straw is not that long. It's the average size that you typically see at boba shops when you have like a 16-ounce cup. So this will fit perfectly for those, but unfortunately nothing in my house is clear and short enough for me to use this while I stick my face inside the glass and trying to suck it up just for the little tip. So we are gonna use a wine glass, because look, it fits just right. So we're gonna do the usual and just overload it with boba. Since this one does more of a regular milk tea where it has more tea based than milk, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour all of this in here. Then, so I'm gonna grab our milk and just pour like a good amount. Not half and half, just a little less milk. And I'm gonna sweeten up a little bit with just some honey and give it a nice stir. Voila, we just made boba. Oh, oops, I had the straw upside down. Oh well. And there's our boba tea. And here we go. So the milk tea came out good. The instructions for that one's pretty good. I know I didn't technically follow the measurements to exact T. So good. You still make a pretty good milk tea out of this. Now, would it be a good royal milk tea? We are definitely gonna go find out. As in terms of tapioca pearls, they're much bigger and chewier than I expected to be. Now, in terms of the tapioca pearls, they are much chewier than I expected to be. I'm sure if I cooked that even at a lesser time, the results will be pretty similar. I feel like if I cooked this at the 5-minute range, that'll be more or less similar consistency. So it's kind of like that consistency crystal boba, where it's like you get that chewiness, but it's not the same type of chewy texture as you would get at a boba shop. Is it terrible? No. Tapioca pearls are still fine. It's not as good as when you go to the actual shop. Overall, I think it's fine when you need to get pinched. As an added bonus, we're actually going to go and make a royal milk tea right now. Getting our good helping of a bubble tea. I'm just going to go ahead and just do 2 full scoops of the tea, since this one's going to be seeping in here. So I have way over the amount of black tea. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to let this simmer for a few moments. Then I'm going to add the milk in there shortly. I'm just going to make sure that the black tea is nice and covered, since this one is different than making regular milk tea. 2 cups of milk. Now, of course, when it comes to the royal milk tea, you're more than welcome to play with the different ratios. Just know that you want a much more richer, milkier taste along with the tea. And since we are actually cooking the black tea with the milk, this will still be able to bring out a lot of the tea, so that way it's still nice and strong, and actually fuse it with the milk, similar to how a chai is. You're really combining both the black tea and the milk this time, rather than seeping one and then combining them where the molecules may not blend as much. But with this one, at least they'll come closer. And traditionally speaking, for this, you don't want to like really boil it like you would with a chai, and you just want to have it simmer. But for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and have it come close to a boil and just let it sit at a nice high temperature for a little bit, just because I do have a lot more milk in here than the tea base was, and I really want to have them soak and fuse together. Alright, let's go ahead and assemble our boba drink for a second time, and this time around I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of this boba. Alright, and time to pour our milk tea, royal milk tea. Here's a royal milk tea with the straw still upside down. Give it a nice stir. Alright, and that is the royal milk tea. Now then, on my left side is whatever's left in here is the regular milk tea, and over here is going to be the royal milk tea. Putting these two side by side, honestly the color is not too much different. Depending on the tea that you use and in your brewing method, royal milk tea can occasionally come out darker than the regular milk tea. Honestly, I like them both for the different flavor profiles that they have. But if I had to pick one or the other, I don't know, I guess I might do a royal milk tea a little bit more often than I do a regular milk tea. But I still love them both. they're both still milk teas. They both still use the black tea that I like, and I still enjoy it. So if y'all got a chance to try the Thereabouts Bubble Tea Kit, if so, how did it go for you? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Would you just get all of this and not go back to a bubble shop? And you know, if you would kinda sorta enjoy this video and hang out with me, you know, hit that like and subscribe and come chill with me some more. Alright? Deuces.